Hello and welcome back to the Welsh Premiership podcast and our weekly preview review show for the Welsh Premiership returns today. Obviously, we've had a little breakout with some of the games being called off over Christmas. So, boys, how nice is it to be back with some regular games now this weekend? And I know there's only a couple still, but it's good that we've had one on the last couple of weeks, haven't we? So how good is that?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, the clubs have been sort of reluctant to play without crowds, and obviously clubs have had COVID cases. But now that the Welsh government have seen sense, it's good that we can get the fans back in and the rugby's back on.
Yeah, and obviously I mentioned we still have had a few games over Christmas period, and since the new year, RGC beat Llandovery 41-8, pretty comfortable win for them. Carmarthen Quins got a good victory away at Cardiff, coming away 27-25 winners. And most recently, Cardiff travelled to RGC and they came away 52-29 winners up at Park Arias. So, Tobias, what have you made of the games that we have been able to see, and how have the sides performed?
Yeah, obviously it's nice to have a couple of games on that we've had. Firstly, I think RGC were superb when they went down to Llanelli in the new year. You know, it was live on TV and a lot of people were watching it on S4C and that, but I thought the backs especially were outstanding. You know, they played Llanelli off the park really and got a big, well-deserved win. And then I think the week later, Cardiff hosted Quins, and I think Quins pipped them by a few points, didn't they? But, it was Cardiff's first game for a while. You know, a lot of the boys who play European rugby were back in the squad, so, you know, it's getting them back in the game, getting them game time, you know, playing at this level again. And fair play to Carmarthen now, you know, they've played 3 league games, I think it is now, and another win for them from the top of the table. But yeah, then Cardiff reacted well. Last week going to RGC, like we know, it's a tough place to go. But yeah, scoring 50 points at RGC as well is an excellent result for them.
Yeah, so moving on to this weekend's fixtures then, and I'll start with the cancelled one. Obviously, we've got Aberavon v Merthyr, which is the cup quarter final, which has been postponed to February. How disappointed are you boys to see that one off? Because we really thought that'd be a good game, didn't we? Obviously, Aberavon, we know the type of side they are, and we know Merthyr can do anyone damage on their day. So how disappointing is it to not have that one this weekend?
Yeah, obviously disappointing to see it called off. Not quite sure why it's been called off, but I'm certain there's a good reason why it has been. Obviously really disappointing. Probably would have tipped Aberavon to win that. They had a good win against Swansea, was it last time out? On live on S4C. So yeah, it's a shame that's been called off, and but hopefully now in a few weeks' time, once teams have got a few games under their belt, they'll be both teams will be sort of match hardened and ready to go then.
Yeah, and another game that we have it's not a cup quarter final, but it's actually a replay or one of the postponed games, RGC versus Pontypridd, their final group game of the cup. And we know what rests on that one, don't we? We talked about it quite a few times on previous podcasts. Obviously, the winner of that one is almost like a round of 16 game, because the winner of that one will go into the cup quarter final. So, Tobias, how much are you looking forward to that one? And can you pick out a winner?
Yeah, I think both sides will be happy just going ahead. You know, he's been in place for a couple of times now and been called off for certain reasons. But like we said before the break, you know, we were really excited for that game. There's two sides who, like we said before, could have gone either way. I think maybe I'd fancy RGC. You know, home crowd. They've played a couple of games in the last few weeks where I don't think Ponty have played yet this year. So Ponty can be quite rusty. But look, you know, it is a knockout game. And I think both sides will turn up for a knockout game. And whoever turns up on the day will win. But yeah, I do fancy RGC.
Yeah, Ponty haven't played since the first week of the season, start of December. So obviously they're going to be a little bit rusty. RGC have played 2 games this month. Coming off the back of a disappointing defeat on Saturday against Cardiff, they'll be looking to make amends and they'll be hoping to get a win in front of a big crowd.
Yeah, and moving on to the cup quarterfinals then, and we've got 2 really nice big clashes. There'll be massive games. One, obviously, Cardiff against Carmarthen Quins, which we've seen a couple of weeks ago now. We mentioned at the start of the podcast, Carmarthen came away 27-25 winners. Boys, do you think this one is going to be too tight to call?
I think you'd probably have to have Cardiff as favourites. I know Quins beat them 2 weeks ago, but you look at Cardiff's form in the Cup this season, they've been really impressive. Obviously, they didn't quite top their group, come in second. And I think maybe that Quins game a few weeks ago might have been a wake-up call for them, because obviously they went to RGC last week and scored 50 points. So they're back in form, and first game with supporters back, allowed back in. I think they'll be well up for it and try and get a win in front of their home crowd.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, I do agree that Cardiff will be going in favourites. But I think Quins is just one of those teams who will just plod along nicely. Maybe no one really tips them to go and win the cup or the league, but they're always there and thereabouts. And they win a couple of weeks ago at the Arms Park. Shows what they can do. So I'd call another close game there. I think Cardiff may edge it. We haven't seen what type of team they do have out yet this weekend, but I wouldn't write the Quins off either, especially after that result a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and obviously we know how many of the Cardiff boys have been up with obviously the regional team playing in Europe. How important will that experience be for them? How obviously some of the younger boys in particular dropping back down now to the Blue and Blacks, the experience they learned from that will be invaluable, won't it? Now going for the rest of the season. Yeah,
obviously it was a great experience for them stepping up, playing against Toulouse and Harlequins, two of the best club sides in Europe, and they'll be able to take what they learned from those occasions down back to the Premiership.
And another one as well, obviously, Torin Myhill from Carmarthen, obviously turned out for Cardiff the other night and did a good job actually with Kirby going off in a sin bin, which is obviously his brother, not the way you want to go on for your regional debut, but solid game. And yeah, obviously Cardiff have got an injury crisis, so we'll look to see whether Torin does actually play for Carmarthen on the weekend or not. But we know they got an equal deputy, obviously Rhys Lawrence with them as well, that can step in and more than fill Torin Myhill's shoes. So yeah, it's going to be a big battle in there, and I think that one's going to be a close one.
Yeah, I think that's a well-deserved appearance for Torin as well, because he's been one of the most consistent hookers in the Prem for a while now. A lot of people around the league and the club especially, say how good of a player he is and a person. So I think he's well-deserved, and obviously to play alongside Kirby as well, it's a great experience for him.
Really good try scorer as well, isn't he? I think his try scoring record in the Premiership is massive, and I think Hayden Pugh and some of the other Quins forwards will just say that he just benefits off the back of a lot of the work that they do, but he does cross the whitewash quite a bit, doesn't he? Moving on then to the final quarter-final of the weekend, and obviously Newport hosting Bridgend. This will be a massive one, won't it? Obviously Newport probably favourites with the outstanding side in their half of the league, but we know Bridgend have looked sharp. When Bridgend get things right, they can cause damage to most teams, can't they? So I think Newport favourites, but what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think like you said, Newport are favourites. They topped the Eastern group. Surprised everyone really. We all knew they were a decent side, but I don't think any of us expected Newport to go on top the group. A fair play to Tyrone Morris and the rest of the group there, because they've done really well. Bridgend got in, beat Swansea in the final day with the infamous try. I think you got to tip Newport, haven't you? But like again, neither side has played in a while. I think the last time they played was actually against each other, wasn't it? And Newport came out on top that day. So I think Newport will come out on top again.
Yeah, I think I agree with you both. The way Newport played this year, especially in the Cup, they've been outstanding. And then that one league game they played, which was against Bridgend, I think Newport come away 25-9 win, but it could have been a lot more that day. I think Bridgend were poor, but Newport outplayed them, and I think they got strengths all over the park. We know how good their pack can be in their driving line out. And their backline's been outstanding all year, scoring some brilliant tries. So, Newport are going to go in as favourites, but like you said, Bridgend turned up on a day this year. They beat Llandovery away, so it's nothing to say they can't turn up and get a big W this weekend.
And on Newport, and another player that's massively deserved a regional call-up this year has obviously been Will Reid. We seem to talk about him every week in the Premiership Cup. I think he's top point scorer of the league, albeit there's only a few games in. But how impressed, boys, have you been with Will Reid this season for Newport, controlling the strings at 10? And obviously Matt O'Brien, their captain and their talisman, normally plays outside half. And obviously he's been playing at 12. So Will Reid obviously must be doing something right there.
Yeah, I agree. And I was quite impressed with him in the summer with the Wales under 20s. obviously young player, bright future ahead of him, and it won't be too long now until he's playing regularly for the Dragons, I don't think.
Yeah, and this is what the Premiership's all about, giving these boys the opportunity, to stand out, and then the regions will fancy him and give him a game. And fair play to him, he's taken every opportunity he's had brilliantly this year, and he's fully deserving of a couple of regional appearances now.
That's a wrap for this episode then. Thanks for joining us. Short and sharp, obviously previewing this weekend's fixtures. Good luck to all the teams and nice to see everyone back. Thanks to our sponsors, Lecker Foods Co., sponsoring this podcast yet again, doing a great job. And yeah, we'll be covering 2 of the games this week, Cardiff v Carmarthen and Newport v Bridgend. So keep an eye on our social media channels and for updates on them and the match reports as well. We'll be back with another weekly preview next week and another guest podcast next week as well. So yeah, keep an eye on our social medias at Welsh Premiership. Thank you and goodbye.